Hi YouTubers, Elsie Butcher here. Today is Monday, July 10th, 2017, and the title of today's teaching is The Bible, Control by Duplicate Register. In previous teachings, I mentioned that there must have been an original book of truth that could be used by people to confirm or to deny their inward thoughts, feelings, will, remembrances, etc. I truly know that today's versions of the Bible are burlesque copies of that original writing because of the many incongruencies and masked lies that I have found in the Bible through intensive, careful research. Let us look at the title of today's teaching again, and I will prove to you that the Bible is indeed a book of control by duplicate register. What is control? Merriam-Webster defines it this way: A. To test and to check by experiments. B. To regulate or to govern and direct according to dominion or supremacy. The dominant one, or the one having supreme rank and power, or dominion, and dominion comes from the Latin word dominus, meaning the master, the lord, the boss of the house, or the boss of the family, meaning the servants or slaves as well as the kin of the householder. The householder being the one that holds or has arrogated possession or ownership, as well as to have at his or her disposal the members of the family. Remember that the word arrogated means to have seized and claimed without being justified, or without having the right to do so. So this arrogating, self-proclaimed owner has given itself the power to dispose of, or to make use of, and to get rid of members of the family as it chooses. Whom does the Bible identify as chief controller? It is God, Lord, Master, or the one supreme in arrogated authority, i.e., the controller, according to the New Testament and Strong's Concordance. The controller, the one that controls or regulates, that is, that brings others under the governance of law or constituted authority, and exercises directing and constraining influence upon. To constrain means to use threats or force to prevent, restrict, and to dictate the thoughts and actions of others. In the Old Testament, the Lord and controller is Jehovah, the God of the Jewish nation, who is identified in the Concordance as being the same as Jesus in the New Testament. In past teachings, I have given you proof that Jesus controls the entire world, whether other countries acknowledge the one in command by the name Jesus or not. Once again, let us look at the various meanings for the word logos, Logos. A. Speech, word, reason. Reason meaning computation, the act of making a calculation or a cold, heartless plan to promote self-interest. B. Logos, Logos, meaning legend, or a body of stories coming down from the past about a particular person and about events popularly regarded as historical, but are not verifiable, that cannot be confirmed as to the reality or the truth of. See Logos, divine wisdom, manifested or shown in creation or in the earth and its inhabitants. Creation means that which was invented or fabricated, constructed for the purpose of deception, and devised by thinking or imagining and anticipating. That is, looking forward to something as being certain and taking measures to forestall. That is, to obstruct and to beset. To obstruct meaning to hinder certain persons from actions and from passage. The right to pass or to go, to leave, to move from the earth to the zenith distance, and also to beset these certain persons and to beset these certain persons. to surround them or to hem them in, to trouble them, that is to mistreat or oppress them, to suppress or check, to first acquire them, to seek them out and to obtain, that is to be in the way or to be in a position to hinder and obstruct, to block by an obstacle or a barrier, and to hold, to have arrogated ownership of, and to cause a sudden stoppage of forward progress, to reprimand or repress, that is to prevent natural development, natural expression, natural activity by force, and to put down, to humiliate, belittle, or degrade, that is to lower in status and to strip of rank and honor, to cause to be ineffective, to consume or to devour, to prey upon, to victimize and use up or to exhaust of strength. D. Logos, divine wisdom, identified with the second person of the Trinity or Jesus. E. Logos, reason. In ancient Greek philosophy, reason is the controlling principle or the regulating ruling law in the universe. Synonyms for universe in this instance being the world or the earth, including its inhabitants and all things upon it. I'm not just speaking about the North America or any other continent by itself. Reason is the controlling principle or the ruling law throughout the entire earth. And recall that reason means calculation or cold, heartless planning to promote self-interest. Logos, as I have shown you, refers to Jesus. Now remember this, I have given you proof that the word nous, N-O-U-S, is a Greek word synonymous with the mind of Christ, according to 1 Corinthians 2 and 16. Nous, N-O-U-S, or the mind of Christ, according to the thesaurus, means the world spirit. In the foreign words section of Webster's New College Dictionary 2, updated for the 21st century, it is revealed that the Latin phrase for world spirit is anima mundi, A-N-I-M-A, and then mundi, M-U-N-D-I, or the force, the influence that governs the physical world. The emphasis on the word physical. So the mind of Christ has to do with the physical, not the spiritual, not relating to the incorporeal or the spirit. Is this why there is still racial prejudice throughout the world? When some people are influenced by the mind of Christ, they can only see skin color and not the difference in character that is purely spiritual. The logos, or reason, according to the ancient Greek philosophy, governs the entire earth. When the word philosophy is divided as philo and sophy, it can be defined as having a preference for wisdom, but this wisdom is according to sophistry, S-O-P-H-I-S-T-R-Y, which is subtly or craftily deceptive reasoning or argument used to deceive, to cause others to accept or believe as true and valid that which is untrue and invalid. The sophists were ancient Greek philosophers known as wise men and experts, as well as being clever and as deceivers. Let us look at each of these descriptions. 1. The wise men, sages, men that are grave, unsmiling, solemn, serious, or awe-inspiring, and being men that know, that experience, that attempt to inquire and engage in experiments. Experts, the experienced, those that gained knowledge through observation and through participation in events. 3. The clever, those characterized by ingenuity, skill in combining. For example, as when Jesus thought of linking together the living and the dead through incarnation, reincarnation, or the kingdom of God within, according to Luke 17 and 21. Ingenuity, inventiveness, using the imagination to invent, to fabricate, to make up or compose, to put things together for the purpose of deception. 4 deceivers, the sophists, philosophers that deceived, that misled, cheated, imposed false ideas and beliefs that caused ignorance, bewilderment, and helplessness. The word sophisticated is derived from the sophists. Sophisticated, to be altered or changed deceptively, especially to be adulterated, corrupted by having inferior elements added to, and also having been deprived of genuineness, naturalness, simplicity, and caused to be worldly wise and complicated, combined in a supposed inextricable manner, or in a way that forms a tangle or an entrapment from which supposedly persons cannot get free, and something impossible to solve. Well, my teachings show that while these complications were certainly the intentions of Lucifer, evil spirits, Jesus, and evil men, they are untrue. I can remember a song my husband's gospel group used to sing, wrapped up, tied up, and tangled up in Jesus. There is a phrase that I found in the thesaurus that reads entre nous, E-N-T-R-E, and then the word nous, N-O-U-S, which means to be in secrecy and off the records. Entre nous, the minds of evil spirits of Christ that entrance living beings. This hidden knowledge had been reserved for the elitists and the esoterics, thus giving them a means to rule over the masses while keeping them subservient to a selfish, mean, punishing God, aka Lucifer. Think about the Latin phrase mens rea, M-E-N-S-R-E-A, meaning guilty minds with criminal intent. These evil spirits, being demons or the power of God, have inhabited men for centuries. People do not want to accept that fact, but the Bible, dictionaries, as well as thesauruses, and experience attest to it being so. As I have previously taught you, it is how the species of man became human. The word logos assures us that Jesus' influence is manifested throughout the world. Now back to the title of this teaching, the Bible, Control by Duplicate Register. We have to remember that Christianity is the leading religion of the world, with Catholicism being the leading denomination. I have already shown you in past teachings that the Bible is incongruent. That is, it is not congruent or harmonious. 2 of my dictionaries define the word control as to check by duplicate register. What exactly does this mean? It means that the Bible is a copy or a burlesque mocking imitation of a record, a written word, an account book that gives a report or that gives information concerning a check. That check in the burlesque version is of a so-called king, Jesus, that acquired, that sought and obtained, that gained an objective by planned action, and then took dominion or supreme authority and falsely became the criterion or the standard for judgment of the entire earth. This is why Scripture says the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. According to Psalm 24:1 and 1 Corinthians 10:26, the Lord in these passages refers to Jehovah, the God of the Jewish nation, that is also Jesus in the New Testament. Before I close out this teaching, I want to remind you that Jesus is the power and the wisdom of God, according to 1 Corinthians 1:24. And 1 Corinthians 3:19 says that the wisdom of this world is foolishness to God. Therefore, the nous, the N-O-U-S, or the mind of Christ, anima mundi, the world spirit, or the force, the influence that governs the physical earth is foolishness. But the American Constitution was founded upon Judeo-Christian principles, and according to my dictionaries, the word substitute shows that law was established to take the place of. To take the place of what? It has to be real authority. The authority that is a natural characteristic of men, and not just a few, but all men. So with constitutions and laws, we have forensic righteousness that has replaced intrinsic righteousness, which has led to all kinds of trouble in the world. Man has amended constitutions, has written instruments of law, have enacted and changed countless statutes, have built prison after prison after prison, but history has shown that all of these measures are inadequate. Why? Because the species of man was never meant to be governed by the rule of law. And just because statutes have governed us for centuries does not mean that it is right. Law deals with the physical and with the emotions, not the spiritual being of man. Law, according to dictionary definitions, was established by hell and enforced by flesh and blood people. Law was not meant to benefit the masses, but demagogues and others chosen by Lucifer. It is time for all of us to wake up and to stay alert, to spend time researching. I have spent time saying some things. I have spent time saying some things repeatedly. But can we ever hear the truth too many times? Especially when we think about the many times that we have had to listen to lies over and over again that have controlled our lives for so long. Please subscribe to my channel for more truth. Until next time, I am Elsie Butcher, and thank you for listening.